So after looking deeper into war plans, I think it is time to look at this from a different angle. A lot of people are saying this system is going to save Diablo 4 endgame, but when you really break it down, war plans isn't actually something new. Imagine this, you log into Diablo 4, you jump into Helltide, then you run a nightmare dungeon, maybe do a pit run, and finish things off with a boss. That's already how most of us play the game right now. Nothing about that is new. The difference is that War Plans takes all of those activities and turns them into a structured system. At its core, War Plans is basically a playlist, a guided loop that lines up your next activity without you needing to think about it. And that alone already solved one of the biggest issues the game has had for a long time. Because there is always that moment when you log in, open your map, and just pause. You are looking at everything, but not really sure what's worth doing next. The hesitation might only last a few seconds, but it breaks the flow every single time, and War Plans remove that completely. Now, you start your run, you finish one activity, and instantly you are dropped into the next one. No searching, no menu hopping, no second guessing, just constant action. And because of that, your entire session feels smoother, faster, and honestly a lot more satisfying. But that's only part of it. Once you go deeper into the system, you start to see where the strategy comes in. Each activity has its own upgrade tree, and this is where your decisions start to matter. You are not just running content anymore, you are shaping it. You can focus on specific rewards, boost certain drops, and even turn activities that used to feel pointless into something worth running. That's why a lot of players are looking at war plans as a good system. It adds structure, improves efficiency, and gives you a clearer direction. Instead of bouncing around randomly, you are following a loop that's designed to make your time feel more valuable. But at the same time, there is another side to this. Because when you strip everything back, you are still playing the same content. Helltide, Nightmare Dungeons, The Pit, Undercity, none of that has changed. It is the same activities, just organized differently. So if those activities never really click for you in the first place, War Plans doesn't suddenly fix that. It just makes them more rewarding, and for some players, that's not enough. More loot doesn't always translate into more enjoyment, and this leads to a bigger concern. What Diablo 4 really needs isn't just a better system, it needs new endgame content. Something genuinely fresh, something that changes how the game feels to play, not just how we rotate through what already exists. Because if War Plans doesn't land the way players hope it will, then we will still doing the same thing we have been doing since the beginning, just in more organized way. And that's where burnout starts to show up. You run your war plan, you optimize it, you find the best route, and after a while, it starts to sink in. You are still fighting the same enemies, in the same location, dealing with the same mechanics over and over again. That's the real risk here. Even if the system feels smooth and efficient, repetition doesn't go away. And once that feeling kicks in, it is hard to ignore. No amount of structure or reward boost can fully cover that up. So while war plans can definitely improve the experience, whether it truly fixes the endgame depends on what comes after it. Now looking at it from Blizzard's perspective, this approach actually makes a lot of sense. Instead of constantly building entirely new content, they are taking what already exists and making it feel better to play, more connected, more streamlined, and more rewarding. The issue was never a lack of things to do, it was how disconnected everything felt. War plans is their way of solving that without rebuilding the entire game. At the same time, there is another layer to think about. This system is supposed to give players more choice, more flexibility in how they farm. But in reality, games like this tend to follow a pattern. Players experiment for a while, and then eventually, someone figures out the most efficient setup, the fastest route, the best rewards, the most optimal path. And once that happens, most players doesn't experiment anymore. They just follow it. That's when variety starts to disappear, and the system becomes less about choice and more about efficiency. Which raises an important question. Does war plans actually create meaningful choices? or does it simply lead to a new method that everyone ends up following? This is also why people are comparing it to systems from other games, especially the Atlas system from Path of Exile. On the surface, they seem similar. Both let you modify content, focus on rewards, and optimize your farming. But the way they approach it is very different. The Atlas is massive, complex, and permanent. It is something you invest time into understanding and planning. War Plans is much focused. It is smaller, more guided, and easier to get into. Instead of a huge web of decision, you are dealing with a structured 5-activity loop that you run from start to finish. One system gives you total freedom but expect you to figure out everything. The other gives you direction and keeps things simple. And honestly, that might be exactly what Diablo 4 needs right now. Not every player wants to spend hours planning or studying system. Some people just want to log in, jump straight into action, and feel like their time was well spent. Warplanes does a very good job of delivering that kind of experience, but at the same time, it is clear this system isn't going to appeal to everyone. If you enjoy having structure, clear direction, and efficient gameplay loop, this is probably going to feel great. But if you prefer complete freedom, experimenting on your own terms, and playing at your own pace without being guided, this system might feel a bit restrictive. And that's what makes war plans so interesting. For some players, it could be exactly what the game needed. For others, it might feel like a layer on top of the same experience. So yeah, it is not something entirely new, but it might still be the system that gives Diablo 4 a more complete endgame loop. Something structured, efficiency, and replayable. Or it becomes something players figure out quickly, optimize, and eventually move on from. We will have to see how it plays out. One thing is certain though, this system is going to shape how Diablo 4 play moving forward. So yeah, it might look simple on the surface, but this system could end up being a lot of deeper than people expect. And since it is not even out yet, a lot of what we are seeing right now is just theory. The real test starts when we actually get our hands on it. When we start building routes, testing different setups, and seeing what actually works and what doesn't, and you already know how this goes. Day 1, everyone experiments. Day 2, people start figuring things out. And not long after that, the meta starts forming. So when that happens, I will be testing it, breaking it down, and sharing what actually matters, not just what sounds good on paper. If you want to stay ahead of that, make sure you are subscribed and don't forget to like the video. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.